Hey all, it's Alex and welcome back to my channel. Today's video originally started off as me being bored and looking for random things to draw. Whenever I'm uninspired, usually I look to prompts to give me that final push, but at the time that I was filming this, which I filmed this in middle of February, I think, I had already done 3 Ready Shuffle sketches for my channel, and only one of them had been posted at that time. So instead, I did the same thing that I did for my first YouTube video, which I will link here-ish somewhere. I went to my Gaia Online inventory and made a couple of cool characters. And these are the 2 avatars I ended up creating. And, after I was done sketching them out the first time, like, this isn't the first sketch. I honestly didn't do that great of a job on the first one. But I decided I wanted to do something more with these characters than just like a cool still image. I decided that I wanted to make a comic with them. And this was kind of like my tester for whether or not I'd enjoy making a full-length comic later on. And this was really fun. So I probably am going to be making a comic later on. It's not going to be with these characters. I already have a story written out for the most part, because the story is the easy part to me, at least until it comes to villainry and all that stuff. That's something that I still need to figure out. But I guess this isn't something that I haven't shared on here or over on my Instagram. Well, I might have in like little bits and pieces, but I am currently working on a science fiction book series, and we'll see if that ever gets finished. But you know what? What's the fun in life if you just get hung up on one project and then work on nothing else for the rest of your life? Oof. Anyhow, this video is going to be introducing you guys to the characters that I created, because I tried editing this video and the part 2, spoiler alert, there's a part 2, I tried editing these 2 videos so that way I'd do how I approached making the comic in the first one, and then in the second one introduce you to the characters, and that just felt very counterintuitive, because I would keep saying character A is putting character A in this spot as opposed to putting character B in this spot, and it's just a lot easier for me mentally to introduce you guys to the characters instead of introducing you guys to the comic first. I will say that for my own aesthetic, I did change up one of the characters' outfits a little bit from the Gaia avatar that I made, because sometimes I'm not happy with the Gaia avatar and they could be more interesting. But let's get into who these characters are. So the girl with the long hair, her name is Sign, and the girl with the short hair is Marrow. Sign is short for sinew, because I don't know where exactly the inspiration for these names came, but I came up with Marrow first, and then decided that I wanted to go kind of grisly with both of their names. In the story that I created for these characters, Sign is a full demon, and Marrow is a half-demon. They're half-siblings. And in order for Sign to continue living, she has to consume souls, and that includes souls that are used in artificing. And hold on, might I just zoom in on the fact that I misspelled whoosh in the final inking? I sincerely thought that whoosh was W-O-O-S-H, not W-H-O-O-S-H, because whoosh is not intuitive to me. Anyway, moving on with characters. Since Marrow is a half-human, half-demon, she doesn't need to collect souls in order to stay alive. She has the she has a bond to her human soul that keeps her perpetually living. Which is kind of a shit rap for Sign, but that's just the way that this world ended up going. And there's this weird artifact that I made it the reason why I was able to make that cool kind of yin-yang shaped splash image. The magic item is kind of bullshit, but who cares? I'm not making a full comic out of these characters for a few reasons, one of them being I don't know what the full story would be and what the meaning behind it would be. 2, the characters are too complicated for me to draw quickly. The splash screen took me 3 hours in total to finish. This comic page took me also about 3 hours to finish. I'd be doing the comic digitally, and that's another hurdle that I'll need to get over once I start making that comic. And I feel like I'm just rambling. I'm sorry if I am rambling. I don't really have a script that I'm going off of for this video, and it feels weird, but that kind of feels very on point for how I did this comic, because I initially didn't really have a script or a story, and I just kind of threw things in as I went along. I did do some thumbnailing, and you'll actually see that in the second video, because that's stuff that I'm going to have to cover later, because it would make sense to cover it here. But one thing I wanted to make sure in the initial creation of the characters was that they had very different color palettes. The 2 color palettes that I tend to lean towards on Gaia are the melty colors, which is the black teal, or the black mint and lavender, and then the edgy gamer colors, which is just black and red. So I wanted to make sure that the characters, they already have a different enough silhouette, but I wanted to make sure that they had different feeling color palettes. I also find it kind of funny that I made the character in black and red. Marrow is the one trying to stop Sign from consuming these souls, and I ascribed her the black and red color palette, which is usually the evil color palette. At this point, I wanted to make sure that the 2 pages matched up together well, and I kind of wish that I would have been able to make Sign bleed into the other page a little bit more, where her body cuts off. Because looking at the selection of comic books I have, particularly the Poe Dameron comic series that I have, which I can see if I can link those down below if anybody's interested, but the frames aren't absolutely rigid in that, and I feel like that would have been a nice element to throw in for the splash frame, for that to kind of bleed behind the other comic pages. But I mean, that is a later element that I hadn't yet looked into when I was doing this comic. One thing I found that I really struggled with in just the designing of things was making the background and the characters stand out. Using the difference in line weight is okay, but I feel like I could have done a lot better. And backgrounds in general are something that I'm just going to have to get used to. I kind of fudged it a little bit by just having, oh yes, there's lots of clouds or smoke or steam or whatever this happens to be. So, haha, you don't have to draw detail for all that stuff. I hope you guys are ready for part 2 of this video. That will be next week's video. I hope you enjoyed getting to learn about how I made these characters a little bit, and if you would like a dramatic reading of the comic at the end of next video, leave a comment down below, because that is something I can definitely do. I unfortunately don't have shots of all of the pieces of text close up before I colored the panels, but I do have them after they were colored, so I can show you guys that next week. If you feel so inclined, hit that subscribe button and check me out on my other social media handles. Thanks, and I'll see y'all in the next one.